The following may contain language which will be offensive to some people and inappropriate for children. Still here? Then pour your favorite beverage and let's get this fucking show started.
Fantastic Forum, assemble! We're back. It's that time of the week again when we talk about comics and drink beer and give you our reviews or lack of reviews or thoughts on the stuff that's happening in pop culture. And yeah, this is what we do every week. And today we're bringing you Sandman, Netflix's new adaptation of a comic book property. It is 10 episodes long, and I watched all of them. And I think my boys here watched a few or one at least. So we'll give you that, a little bit of a review on that. And you get to see if I like or dislike changes from the source material. We also are reviewing a DC comic book, Superman Space Age, which is a funky little out of continuity retelling of the Justice League origins. So that's going to be, stay tuned for that. That's going to be fun. And in the meantime, let me introduce you to our little cast of characters here. We got Jay, the Silent Assassin. You should be coming up right now. There we go.
Hey, what's up?
Jay, yeah, Jay, R.I.P. Jay's TV. We got if you go to fantasticforum.live, you can click on the little button and buy a t-shirt with that little F you see in the corner. That way Jay can buy his TV. And then we also have Oz there with his little Aerith statue in the back. That
what happened to what? Oh crap! My camera is way crooked. I'm just seeing this.
What?
It's like it's
yeah.
I'll fix that later.
I don't look too bad because it's on an angle anyway. But
I know, but it's like
yeah, I know. I get the same way. It almost feels like you're a villain in Batman 66. It's like you're plotting to take over Gotham, and it's like, But yeah, yeah, these are the dudes that we'll be talking to. Larry's not here because
okay,
you know why.
Okay.
Fuck you, Larry.
Larry's not here. But in the meantime,
he's actually at the airport.
Yeah, he's listening. He'll probably be in chat. And he's watching Sandman, I think, on the plane. Oh, Oz died. But yeah. Oh, there he is. So yeah, Larry is at the airport. He'll probably chime in here. And I did tape his impressions and rating of what he saw of Sandman. So you'll be seing Larry.
It wasn't too scary for him? Well, I guess we'll find out.
But he only watched one episode.
Still.
Well, at the time of the recording, I guess. As usual, you can hit us up in chat, or if you go to you know what, the lady will tell you.
Want to get in on the action? Call Fantastic Forum on Skype and join the fun. Too shy to call in? That's okay. You can join the Discord chat room available at
fantasticforum.live.
Join the party. You know you want to.
But yeah. So yeah, and that's it. Like you can hit us up at YouTube chat or Twitch chat. And yeah, if you go into our Discord, I didn't update that link on fantasticforum.live, so I apologize for that. But yeah, check in periodically. You'll get the link there. Jay, man, right before we came on there, man, you gave me a little update on that little book we reviewed a few weeks back, The Closet, man. You actually finished it now, huh? You finished?
Yeah.
How many issues was it?
3.
3, okay.
And for those that don't remember, it's about a kid. There's a monster in his closet, and his dad is a douchebag. And yeah, I think that was all that was in the first issue.
I always remember the little look the monster gave him, like that when he looked me over the shoulder. I was actually cleaning my camera roll on my tablet from the screenshots I do for the show, and I came up along that little picture where the monster just looking at him like that, and I'm like, I love that picture.
Right. Well, it's pretty lame.
Yeah,
Like it didn't get as deep as I was hoping it would, and it definitely would have been better as a one shot, like all three in a single issue.
Yeah,
I think that would have made it better.
and that's James Tynion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
And I
So-
mean, it's not that he's hit or miss, but it's not that he's like 100%. Like he does have his misses, and this is, I think, one of them. Or I don't know, it might resonate with someone, just not really with me.
Yeah.
I know I've seen movies or a movie that does it what he's doing way better. And I can't say the movie because I don't want to spoil it for anyone that is reading it. But there's definitely a movie that does it better. Maybe I'll bring it up in a month or so and give people time to read it for themselves.
Do you remember your rating of issue 1 by chance?
I think it was like 3 or 4, but I remember I was disappointed with the length or with the fact that it wasn't one and that nothing major kind of happens in that first issue.
Okay. Now that you've read the whole series, how's that rating stand? Let's say you gave it a 4. Now, what would you give the series as a whole?
I would give it a 3.
Okay.
Maybe a little less.
Like
I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna lie. The more I sit with it, like, the more I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
But that initial hit is very underwhelming.
Okay. Oh. All right. I was actually thinking about it. I'm like, man, maybe I should check that book out. And I know you said I might vibe with it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I know the thing that does it better, I know you were a big fan of.
Okay.
And so like this might be close enough for you to like kind of vibe with it.
Okay. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just kind of underwhelming.
I think I might be able to see that because I mean the tone of the series, of the first issue at least was still very like slow burny.
Yeah.
But you can't, you had to ramp it up if it's only 3 issues, right?
Right.
All right.
And I mean, I see what they're trying to do. And again, I think it would have been much more effective as a one and done kind of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like breaking it up in the 3 parts over 3 months did not do the story any favors.
Okay. All right, I gotta check that out. All right. Oz, man, what you been reading anything lately? Been keeping up with the Ezra Miller news?
Yeah, I don't know how his movie's not. Well, I was gonna say I don't know how his movie's not canceled, but I guess it's being changed.
Is it?
Yeah, they're redoing the ending. I think there's something about Michael Keaton was gonna be the official Batman for the DCEU, and now it's back to Batfleck. That's why he's in Aquaman 2. And so I guess they're reshooting something, or I just hope they reshoot that he's not the Flash at the end of that movie.
Look, at this point, just reshoot the whole thing, right?
Well, I understand why they can't, because he plays himself twice. Like there's 2 of them at one point.
Huh.
So yeah, that's gonna be too much.
I posted a meme earlier, and it was Michael Keaton in the scene of the Batcave where he's looking at all the screens with the Joker on it, but it's Ezra Miller.
Right. In that movie, he's gonna see 2 Ezra Millers.
Yeah. But it's the mugshot from the that he's looking at. Yeah. Man. Yeah, that guy's. I don't know what the hell's wrong with that dude. Like, it's got to be a psychotic break in drugs, right? Something like that.
Yeah, but it's been going on for a while now.
Yeah.
Like getting in the bar fight in Hawaii and like all of that I could see as kind of one incident where it just kept going. Like he went on a bender, but now it's just like it's a lot.
Yeah.
Now I think now he's just crazy.
Maybe in about 15 years he could play Iron Man.
We'll see. Also, I guess we're not talking about it. Watch Prey.
Oh yeah. I
Did you
haven't
watch it in Comanche?
Not yet. The wife actually wants to see it in Comanche. She didn't
I
want to
hear
see
it's
it
a-
in English, and then found out that there's a Comanche version. She's like, "Oh, I want to see that."
Yeah, people say it's a real experience, like having it in Comanche.
Yeah. Because I mean, she's just yelling at him, right? Like,
Yeah, there's a little talking, but not a lot.
How does she say, "You're one ugly motherfucker" in Comanche?
I didn't see it in Comanche, but
Okay.
nobody says that.
I
They
know,
do
but...
say, "If it bleeds, we can kill it."
Oh yeah,
And like when the person says it, I'm like, this person wanted to do the accent. I could tell.
yeah.
I could see it in their face. This person wanted to do it, and somebody told them no.
All right.
So we have Tiger Claw in chat.
Yeah, what's he talking about?
Tiger Claw says, "What's up, Fantastic Forum? Did you guys see Bullet Train? Hopefully Jay did. It's really good, better than expected." Bullet Train was fucking phenomenal. Like, goddamn, that movie was really good. Man, it was just so much fun, and I love the characters and the acting and the story. Like, just all of it, just amazing.
Man,
Do you get a chance to see it, Oz?
Nah, it's something that I didn't want to pay to see. Like it does look interesting. I'm glad to hear from you that it's good. That means it was probably both funny and action packed, which is the way it was advertised.
Mm-hmm.
So I plan to see it. I just didn't want to go to theaters for it.
Oh, okay. You know, the guy, I don't know his name because that's more of a Lawrence thing, but the guy from Eternals is in it, and he is amazing. Like, he pulls off the accent. I don't know his original nationality, but he's really good at the accent, and his character is like really funny. He's got this thing where he's like obsessed with the tank engine. And he's like how it's a metaphor for life. And he's going around the train like, "No, something's wrong. There's a diesel here. I gotta find him." Oh man, it's so good.
I definitely, when I saw the trailer, I was like, I really want to see it, but I haven't got to it.
Tiger Claw says Bullet Train is actually based on a novel called Maria Beetle. Well, maybe I'll check it out.
Ryan Reynolds is in it?
Yeah, he has a cameo.
There's a lot.
Pretty awesome cameo, honestly.
There's a lot of people on here. I don't know who the hell you're talking about from the Eternals, though. I don't.
It's the black dude, the kind of heavy.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
It's hard to remember anybody from the Eternals, but
like I wouldn't remember any of their names. I'd remember their face, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I didn't recognize him from Eternals. I'm not great with faces in the first place, but with the haircut and the accent, I just like completely missed him. But yeah, he's really good in this.
You said who from The Boys?
The girl.
Starlight?
No, the Asian one.
Kamiko. Oh yeah, that's what I heard from one of my clients said that.
Which I didn't realize she was Katana in Suicide Squad.
Ooh.
Mm.
I did not realize that. So I was looking at her credits and like Suicide Squad. I had to click. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, shoot.
Yeah. The tagline in the chat going at it again. It says Bullet Train is basically when you combine Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, and Guy Ritchie and anime.
Yeah, that's exactly what the press release said.
Yeah.
All right.
It's pretty much, yeah, that's a good descriptor. I mean, you got the insane action, like Quentin Tarantino style, the Guy Ritchie storytelling and characters. Robert Rodriguez, I forget what he does.
He does special effects.
And you
Like
Tarantino, yeah, no, Tarantino, like, was the N-word thrown around a lot?
No, actually, not once in this movie.
Oh, well, I don't
You
see.
sound disappointed, Jay.
No, I'm not disappointed. Like it's really unnecessary for this movie.
All right.
Especially with the character being who he is. Like, that would be weird.
What do you guys want to talk about first? You guys want to do Superman Space Age?
Before we get to the reviews, because and the audience doesn't really know this is something we talked about beforehand. We were gonna do a review of it's got a weird name, the Cradle of Filth. Comic, like what is it, like Insidious or something?
Immobile.
See, it's that complicated.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. It's gonna be like a little mini heavy metal minute, but we couldn't get a copy of it. Like none of us either. But
it's 17.
I don't just mean like, hey, we're trying to get a copy to review. Like actually trying to buy it, right? You actually, we were gonna spend money on this book to review it, and we didn't get a chance to. So a little mini heavy metal minute. I got this Sun and Steel. It's a beer by Iron Maiden.
Yeah,
I don't know if you had this before. I
haven't.
Literally just saw it today. I was at the store restocking for the show. I'm like, what the heck is this? And yeah, I saw it was by Iron Maiden. So I've never tried this. Have you tried this at all?
I have not. It's new. It's pretty new.
It's a sake lager.
Yeah.
It's a double fermented pilsner with a crisp, refreshing taste and sake light notes. # not sponsored. Apparently, it's their 6th beer.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
They've
done it for different albums, and their newest album is Senjutsu, and it has a Samurai Eddie on the cover. And this is a beer to accompany that album.
Okay, yeah, and I've been like dying to try this because I haven't had anything to drink. Well, I've had water, but that doesn't count. So yeah, this is my review.
You got what, like an upside down bat cup, or what is that?
No, that's a boar. This is a Harry Potter.
Oh, okay.
That the Harry Potter land, whatever.
Harry Potter's kind of metal. All the magic and stuff.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a pilsner.
You feeling?
I'm not disappointed, but honestly, it's like a Coors Light.
Yeah,
which I have some over there.
I have some too.
If I put them next to each other, I honestly wouldn't be able to tell you which one's which.
Yeah, and it's weird because when it comes to heavy metal beers, like you would think like, oh my god, yeah, heavy metal beer, but these guys sell the beers at the shows, and they don't want their audience entirely shit faced. You got a bunch of dudes listening to songs about killing in the fields of battle while you're drinking a hard beer, you're gonna have a problem, you know.
That's a good point. I just noticed it's 4.8%.
Yeah,
I think like Bud Light is like 5.1.
right. Let's see, I'm doing the Coors Light today because I'm hosting, and I believe that's like 5 something somewhere. Where's it say? Yeah,
Well, it's supposed to be it's supposedly brewed in the British way.
yeah.
Nah. I got the British stuff like this. This tastes British.
Yeah, and
Actually,
it's
not sponsored.
It's still like what 5.6.
The Newcastle is actually 4.7. So I don't know. Maybe the lower alcohol by volume is
I've had a Megadeth one, and the Megadeth one was 9%.
See,
and
now that's a beer.
And it's Belgian style, so it actually comes with a cork, like kind of like a champagne bottle you have to pop.
Yeah.
And it's made by, I forget the name of that brewery, but yeah, it's about 9%, and it's called a Tout le Monde, which is based on the song of Tout le Monde, which is basically a sung out suicide note. So yeah, you can only have like 1 or 2 of those Tout le Monde beers.
Well, if anybody's interested, it does taste like a like a Coors Light.
Yeah,
with a bit of copper in it.
Look, even the color looks like a Coors Light.
But you can only get it in 4 packs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally just opened the first one and I'm already.
And they're what, a pint? 16 ounces each?
Yeah, they're 16 ounce. 1 pint, 0.9 fluid ounces. Yeah, they're really loading you up there.
Yeah. And what's it run you? Like what, $16 for the 4?
I honestly don't remember, but I bought that and then the 6-pack, which this usually runs like $10. I think I paid like 20 something, so it'll be like for 4 beers, even though they are pints, I guess.
Yeah,
like I'm gonna say 10, 12. I probably should have gotten the receipt, but I just throw the money at them and walk away.
but you're reviewing it on the show, so it would be tax deductible.
Damn it!
See, man, I told you, man. We gotta get on that business. All right. Well, what do you guys want to talk about next? You guys want to do the Sandman or Superman Space Age?
Let's do Sandman.
Sandman. All right. Joe, why don't you hit me with that TV thing?
I will do that.
Please.
Also,
no, more about gel coat.
When the 4th round,
don't you call it?
does it look good already? Jumbo Scampi for limited.
Sandman. What can I say about Sandman that I haven't said about the first woman I ever took to bed? It's my favorite comic book. It's one of I got it early. I read it young, and I still haven't finished it. I'm about 3 pages away from the end because it's one of those experiences I never want to end. And yeah, Netflix released the show. The show has been in the works, I want to say, like 30 years. They've been trying to get it done. At one point, the dude that brought out the boys was attached to it, and was it Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I think, was at one point attached to play Morpheus. And it's been in and out of people's hands, trying to come out as a movie, as a series of movies, as a show. And Netflix finally was able to do it with David Goyer, some dude, I don't know his name right now off the top of my head, and Neil Gaiman. And the show basically kind of boils down the first 2 arcs into one season. And it starts off pretty much just like the comic. Like, Morpheus is trapped. Somebody is trying to summon death. They accidentally summon Morpheus, and then they imprison him. And there are some changes, and we'll get to how the changes are later as part of the review, because it's like I could do a whole video or a whole segment just on the changes, and it's basically just say wonder why they chose to go that way. They're just odd. But
Now, can I bring up something that you posted into our Discord?
Yeah,
because it struck a nerve with me. Not a nerve, but it kind of felt anti-you.
Oh,
and it's basically Neil Gaiman saying nobody gets to gatekeep Sandman. Not as a comic, not in the audible adaptation, and definitely not on the TV. There's no entrance exam, nor should there be. Everyone is welcome. Now, how does this make you feel reading / posting this?
Okay,
knowing how much you love the source material and how much you love gatekeeping.
Well, gatekeeping, that's something that I think would have to be a little bit explained to me, because apparently I've been accused of gatekeeping, and from what I don't think I've been gatekeeping. I'm like, oh, you could come here, but that's the wrong gate. Read the comics. Read the this gate. It has barbed wire. Like your clothes is gonna get ripped. Then go through that gate. Take that door.
That's actually,
I'm not trying to get people to not watch or don't deserve to be fans of this. That at least that's what I think gatekeeping is. I don't want people to be fans of this. I just they might be doing it a little wrong. It's like the Sunnis and the Shiites. But ultimately it's like Neil Gaiman saying that is like, I posted that mainly because of course he wants that. He's getting money. He's getting money from every avenue, and I don't even see like with look, we're jumping into that topic real quick. With Sandman, it's a little weird because the whole concept of Sandman, especially if you read fucking comics, is that the world reality, the universe is just comprised of different dreams and stories manifesting into reality because different people believe and dream different things at once, and it feeds into that energy to manifest things, and that actually fits with like Sandman being a little different, and or even other movies being real different, and people taking that as like, okay, that's the origin story for that character. If enough people just buy into that, then that's what it's going to be, regardless of what I like. I'm not happy about it in certain cases, but in Sandman, I'm not happy about the changes, and as far as like the gatekeeping, I'm like, I remember yesterday, like I watched one episode that really changed a lot, and it wasn't even an enjoyable experience watching that episode. I think it was like episode 6 or 7. And Liz looked at me like, when the credits were rolling, she was going home, and she's like, "You look mad." And I'm like, "What?" It's like, yeah, it's like that episode was shitty. Like, it was a good episode if you like the show, but it's like, dude, like they really fucked up that whole like it's a change they made specifically just to condense everything to a 10-episode thing. It wasn't even to contemporize a story, because I know that's one of the reasons Neil Gaiman said that there's a lot of changes. It was literally just to cram story in so that it wouldn't be disjointed, because in the comics they're a little disjointed. By issue 75 or whatever, like you're like, oh, that's why that was like that. You have to be in for the 75 issue run, and I don't think TV can afford to have people do that, or don't have the balls to try it out. Yeah. Especially live action. I know in some anime stuff, shit like that happens, and 2 seasons later, it's like, oh, they give you enough good shit that you stick with it,
Right.
I think there's too much greed in TV to let that happen. But yeah, I haven't met anybody that just like figured out what Sandman was by watching the show yet. So as far as the gatekeeping stuff goes, I don't know. I don't know yet. I might be a gatekeeper. Yeah. In fact, the show has 3 amazing gatekeepers that are awesome in the comic. They do not say not one word in the TV show. It's a big dragon, a Pegasus, and like a griffin, and they guard the castle doors, and they're just there. Like you can't even see if they don't even really like move. Like if you pay attention, they're moving. Oh, they're alive. They're creatures of the dreaming, but they just look like stone gargoyles over the gate. And like there's whole like again, I'm jumping into this whole segment of the review, but in the comic, there's whole sections where those 3 gatekeepers and protectors of the castle have a whole conversation amongst themselves about what's been going on since Morpheus was gone, and here they're just there like statues. Yeah.
Okay.
I may be a gatekeeper, Jay.
There's this whole gatekeeping, and maybe I don't understand the gatekeeping thing either. Like I agree more with what Mo was saying. Like, well, you're just going in the wrong gate. Like I have no problem with fans enjoying a comic book property, but I'm gonna let them know, dude, if you thought that was good, check this out. Because I feel like I don't have a problem with the fans. I have a problem with the people who make the changes, and maybe that's gatekeeping. But I see it more like the meme where they show you, hey, this is what it looked like online. This is what I got.
Yeah.
You're getting this thing that you bought from Wish or whatever. I'm telling you, look, go over here. Just check this out, and you'll get all of that, and it's better. And I don't know if that's gatekeeping. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I've never really understand. I've always thought gatekeeping was like people that people that were actively angry at fans of something that came out because they're like, well, you don't know, blah blah blah, you're dumb, you're not really a fan because you haven't read it. You're a fan.
I've actually been guilty of that myself. So yeah, maybe that's why Jay brought it up.
Right.
Yeah. And look, a lot of the stuff that we say on the air, like, I mean, come on, like we started off with, like, I'm too deep in. Like, I was my hand was starting to shake, waiting for you guys to get to the point where I could open this damn thing.
To a certain degree, it's kind of like these. In my case, at least, it's for. I love fucking comics. We've been doing this show for about 15 years because we love fucking comics. And then now we're seeing everything come out in a different medium, and it's like sometimes it's a dumbed down version of it, and it's like seeing people enjoy the dumbed down change more is kind of frustrating. And then you explain to them what it was, and they're like, oh, like the little kid that hated Bumblebee's original look. Like, he goes, oh, I don't like that at all. Like, I just cut his hair the other day. He's like 15 now. But yeah, but it's like it's a trip. Like, I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, that's what it is. Like, you don't get to what you like without having, to put it in terms that I'm not gonna kill people over comics, but some people have killed over this. You can't get to the New Testament without the Old Testament. You know what I mean? And sometimes you can't ignore one and do the other. Like, you kind of have to learn them both, And with comics, it kind of, I feel it should be a little bit like that. Like, maybe not as harsh, but the show's good. Go buy some comics. Yeah, go to Artist Alley. Yeah, get some art. Yeah, but there is it's with Sandman, it's particularly because it's such, it's been a big part of my life in a sense, that seeing the show actually come to fruition and see it in motion, and seeing the things that they actually do manage to keep and keep like it was actually very, very like touching. And I got a little teared up in some of these moments just watching it. And as a little dude, when I read fucking Sandman as a little dude, it's like you always imagine it in motion when you read it, and it's like, wow, what if they made a movie of this, and I never thought I'd live to see the day, and here we are. I sat on my couch angry at episode 6 of Sandman. Sorry,
real quick. Tiger Claw says, I deal with a lot of this gatekeeping stuff with the TMNT fans all the time. Some don't like the changes made in the comics. Some hate the writing on it too, which baffles me. Yeah, TMNT fans, some of them can be intense.
That's weird because Tiger Claw is like a huge TMNT, like down to the originals, I'm guessing, right? Like, I don't think I've met somebody as dedicated to TMNT as Tiger Claw.
Yeah, he is pretty dedicated. But some fans, like, I think Tiger Claw is basically, he's more accepting of material. And some of the harder core fans are like, well, you shouldn't like this, only this, and you shouldn't like that. And he's like, dude, I just love Ninja Turtles. Like, I want it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I want it all. I love it all. And so, like, he has to deal with these intense guys that are taking it a bit. Yeah, they're just not doing their fandom any favors.
Yeah. And ultimately, like, with the gate, going back to the gatekeeping thing and hopefully moving a little forward from it, is a Superman Space Age had a line in it where it says, people don't have a lot of hope, and they decide to create these beliefs to kind of give them some sort of hope to keep going, and I think that's part of what happens with this gatekeeping. Like, they attach themselves, or I attach myself to something to just make me feel a little more special. I say they, but it's, you point one finger, but it's 3 pointing back. You know what I mean? So at least, in the cases where I've been more extreme about shit like that, I can now see that it might be something like that too.
So you've watched the entire series, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I watched the first episode, and this is a show that actually I kind of didn't want to watch because of the Constantine issue, where they said Joanna Constantine was a ancestor of the Constantine we know and love.
Yeah,
but from what I've been told, I haven't gotten to this. Like I said, I've only seen the first episode. There's a modern Joanna Constantine with like the exact same background down to the
everything.
Like everything. So it's Constantine, but it's the female version. And I understand, I get it. They couldn't use John Constantine because HBO has it or Warner has it, or however that the license. It was a licensing issue. They couldn't do it, so they used this other character that they didn't have and kind of did all that. I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
How did you feel about how this different Constantine was presented? Like, can you picture, like, is the attitude there?
Nah.
She's not like a giant a-hole that.
Nah. Like here's the thing. You could gender swap it. I'm down with that. That trench coat should be puke ridden. From drinking all night. You know what I mean?
Is she at least smoking like
no, and that's the thing. Like she's wearing like a Burberry coat, like it's like a $500 coat, like wool coat. So it's definitely like a lot of these changes, I blame David Goyer, because that's who you blame. That whenever something is good enough as an adaptation, but has some weird changes, David Goyer wrote it or he produced it. And that's and that's the thing. Like, so the character herself, like that, the way that they used Constantine, they can't even call Constantine. Constantine.
Technically, that's how it was pronounced originally. There's a whole.
That's not how that's not look. That's how Lady Joanna Constantine in 1489 pronounced it, but not how John Constantine pronounces it in 1988. But Joanna Constantine is definitely not the a just gender swap version of it. It's a cleaned up version of Constantine.
The gender swapping bugs me to begin with, but if you still have the essence of the character, I can kind of roll with it.
It's so easy to do. It's so easy to do. Like,
well, if it, like, if you don't even have the cigarettes, like at least in Legends of Tomorrow, because you can't have smoking because technically it's a kids show.
Yeah.
Like at least he would like try. He would like about to be light up and somebody would like grab it or something. Like he would try. Like you'd see it. It was still there. But,
and even that change itself is not the worst change in it. Because it kind of follows the comic a little bit. They give you a new origin, they give you an origin for Constantine because they have to let you know that it's a gender swap version of John so you actually see the origin story for him, and it's a nightmare that for her rather, sorry, it's the nightmare that plagues her, and then that's how Sandman finds her and helps her deal with the nightmare of Astra and gets his sand back. But yeah, it's it's definitely like I'm over here talking about more negative shit for the show where I really like the show a lot. I want to get into the good shit. Jay, man, you didn't get to watch the first issue because the review copy was a little tainted, but you watched the second one, man.
Yeah, I did watch the second.
How did you feel about that second one?
I really liked it. Like, I liked the tone and the pacing, and the visual effects were really good. Surprisingly so.
What happened in the second episode? I know what happened, but let the audience know what happened.
So, what's Morbius? He's free. He's whining about how his siblings didn't help him, and his butler. Her name's not Canary, but she reminds me of Canary.
Oh yeah,
Hunter.
Yeah.
Lucian. What's her name?
Lucian.
And
I think he's technically a he. He's just played by a female.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Lucian is like trying to get him to call for help, and he's like, "No, I'm gonna go to the Fates, and gonna kill this gargoyle, and, like rebirth them." He's basically trying to find his tools. So he goes to the Fates and he asks some questions about where his sand and his ruby and his helm are. And he gets his answers and he's preparing to go and get them. Also, we have some guy, demon thing, who's trying to team up with Constantine in order to fight Mobius, but she doesn't want anything to do with him.
Mm-hmm. Talking about the dude with the glasses?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Recall his name.
Is the Corinthian.
Right.
Yeah. And that was a solid episode. It felt like the comic, except for the Corinthian stuff, the gargoyle stuff. Cain and Abel were a little funky, but they were still good. And I mean, it's really just one of those things. Like a lot of the reviews on the websites were that it was boring. Like it's the most
Boring?
boring fantasy they've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah,
I love that slow pace. Like
yeah.
to me, it was slow, but it was still interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe if I watched the first episode first, that one, the second episode would be boring. But I don't know. Just going into it, I thought it was interesting. Like he's getting ready for a quest.
And that's the thing with Sandman. It's like Sandman is it goes at a weird pace. The books, the comics do that, and it's I love it for it, you know. But it's one of those things. Like when I read that before I actually got to watch the show, and I was like, that to me that sounds like they're getting the tone right. Oz, how many episodes did you get to watch?
Just the first one.
Just the first one. Okay.
And I look. It goes a little slow, but it like you get 100 years worth of stuff in one episode.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah.
I no it's a 1 hour episode. It felt like it went a little bit longer, but it's not like I was ever bored through it. It was interesting. It like the dude hardly says anything. Dream.
Yeah.
Dream. Yeah, he hardly says anything. Like through it, he's just sitting there naked through most of the episode, and like just what's going on with the people around him is compelling. Like the son, like the first episode is the story of the son of the guy that traps Dream.
You said he's naked. Like, do you see anything?
No,
he come close, but not really.
But that's also like the comic. Like those shots of him naked are direct, like panel to screen from the comic, and so they use like steam or an obstruction.
Yeah, there's a couple of shots where there was a shadow that could have been CGI'd in.
Yeah,
to cover some stuff.
But in the comic, that's how it looks. Like even that scene, when he finally breaks free and he just gets sucked into that like wormhole that takes him back to the dreaming. Like that scene, you look at that panel in the comic and that scene on the screen, and it's exact. Like even the way the hair is, yeah. And that's where the show kind of pissed me off. Where like the changes that they make, the stuff they choose to be like the show, the comic is so like just detail shit, you know. But they change the whole story. Like there's one scene in the diner where in the comic he's actually fighting Dr. Destiny, the Justice League villain, and he just broke out of Arkham after the Justice League threw him in there for using a Dreamstone to make the world mad. And he breaks out of Arkham in Sandman. He breaks out Arkham, gets his the Dreamstone, which is Sandman's ruby, and he uses it on a small group of people for 24 hours to try to like get what he's doing again. And in that episode, they totally changed that. They changed that character completely. They changed what happens in the diner completely. They give you a whole different story. They literally just remade that movie Identity in a diner for that episode. But the newscast that you're hearing on the TV is exactly like word for word the newscast that's like you see in the little word bubbles in the comic. Like even at the time, like when they're doing certain things, it's like, okay, this is when the radio says this, you know. And it's just those decisions are just, they dumbfound me, man. They made me into a gatekeeper.
Well, I mean, they probably don't have a license for that guy, right?
They use his real name. So Dr. Destiny's real name is John D, right? And that's the character they use. They use John D. Yeah. So licensing, they can't. I don't think they can use Arkham. The Martian Manhunter comes in to kind of help out with Sandman, like, and he doesn't come out in that episode. So, and that's the thing. It's like when that's what I like when I posted that quote from Neil Gaiman, Jay. When I read that quote, when I saw it on Twitter, the first thing that went to my mind is like, hey, I want to see the Martian Manhunter in Sandman Netflix. Like, if that makes me a gatekeeper, fucking, like I want to see what I like. That was the there's an issue of Sandman that I guess is like an epilogue, or it kind of explains how the Dreaming deals with Crisis on Infinite Earths, like the one I think it's Crisis on Infinite Earth, the one before 0 Hour Oz. And it's like it's a universe. It's like different people that were left over from that collision of universes, and they're at a bar, and it's like, yeah, the universe is collapsing on itself, and now there's only one, and we're stuck here, and it's like a Sandman tie-in to Crisis on Infinite Earth, you know what I mean? And so it's shit like that I love in the comic. Like, it connects to the main continuity of DC Comics at the time, and it's like, if they could do that with the show, like, maybe, I get rights issues, but you'd have to change what he did at the maybe don't call him Dr. Destiny, but they changed the whole story of the diner. Yeah. So it's kind of nitpicky, but the episode was still a really good, like, horror episode. Like, Larry would be scared. It had like lesbian sex in it, it had gay sex in it, it had murder. It all happened at a diner over some cheeseburger.
Those things.
Yeah. We get all that in an hour, and then some website says it's boring.
Should I not be watching this at work?
Nah, you could work it. Like, it's they do it. All the potential NSFW stuff is done the same way a comic book would, which is another great thing about it, because it's like the comic, because they censor it in creative ways, where they would censor it in the inking in the comics. Here they do it with cutaways or lighting, and it's like, it's beautiful to watch, even though I know, Jay, you hate censorship, but they're like, those are the things they keep, like the comics. Like,
that's not really censorship, right, Jay? That's just artistic. Like, I thought you hate Jay,
right?
Like they shoot the boobs and then there's like a square or something.
No, but like, if they put
or a change, I don't like changes. Like, I mean, it's like with the Bruce Wayne's dick, how they airbrushed it out.
Yeah.
For that one, like, that's what I don't like. Like, the dick was there, and now it's not. But if you've got your standards and practices, that you got to do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
I have
we haven't
a quick example.
I think we showed like a bunch of examples last week where we were showing the pages with the like boxes in weird places, because like this chick is wearing jeans. Why is there a box there?
Oh yeah. So that's
so you got the ass crack and shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's an artistic choice. I see it.
It's like in shadow, and his hand covers that one cheek that you would see more light on.
Right.
So that scene looks pretty much identical on the show. It's just, facing the other direction. But
does that count as a Kirby hand because it's closed?
Yeah, it does. And when you read Sandman, you can kind of see, like, just how Alex Ross and Mark Waid kind of paid homage to all the Kirby stuff in, like, Kingdom Come. Like, Neil Gaiman and all the artists that he worked with on Sandman do that from different points for Sandman. Even though it's a book that's so different than your standard superhero fare, it does pay a lot of like homage to the comics of like the Golden Age and Silver Age. In fact, like one of the Sandmen from the Silver Age, Hector Hall, that's another change they did in the fucking, because I guess he died on Crisis on Two Earths, or that other was it Crisis on Multiple Earths, one of the 80s ones, and he was a ghost trapped in a dreaming, but he was manipulated by two nightmares, and then his wife was trapped in the dreaming along with another character. And that was one of the episodes that was supposed to be in this season of Sandman, and they totally changed that. Like they still call him Hector Hall, like everything. He's just not that Silver Age Sandman. And then they still have the Silver Age Sandman. They just made the little kid dream that he's that Sandman, you know? And it's like, that's a stupid change. Like, it's retarded. Like, you don't need to do that. You have the character there. You have the character there. You have Hector Hall there. And they say he's a ghost trapped in the dreaming to avoid going to where he needs to go, either heaven or hell. And then the wife is trapped in the dream, but she's trapped in the dream through her grief. And then she gets impregnated in the dream. And in the comic, it's that combined with the fact that there's two nightmares trying to create a dreaming of their own since Morpheus left or is missing. And they're like, yeah, you know, this is falling apart. We got to create our own dreaming and be masters of our own dreaming. Yeah. And that's what they were using. They're using that Sandman because he had dream powers. So they're using that energy. And he thinks the guy thinks he's still alive fighting crime, but he's a ghost, superhero ghost trapped in the dream realm, you know? And since those demons created that dreaming and the chick got pregnant in that dreaming, though that all that sector is still Sandman's energy or Morpheus's energy. And so that kid is his. And he's like, you know, you're pregnant with my kid. And, you know, it's yours for now. I'm going to come get him one day. Yeah. And that actually happens in the show too, but it's just, they do it in a way that, again, it's just easier to cram those two trade paperbacks into one season with the way they did it. And it sucks. Yeah, because it's like, you don't have to do all that, you know? Like they even did the Lucifer stuff and still didn't like do the stuff that the Lucifer show should have done. They didn't even get to any of that. Yeah. I was like, dang. Those weird decisions. You know who we haven't heard from about this is Larry, and I did record his take on it. Jay, if you could just hit that.
I feel like it's one of those things where, well, let me just answer your question. Yeah. What I would rate it, I would rate the first episode of Sandman. I'd give it like 4.5 out of 5. Like I was just like I really enjoyed it, and I was like, man, this feels like it's setting up something huge. I don't know what it is, but it feels like it's setting up something really huge.
That was his rating, not the impressions one.
You're correct. I hit the wrong thing.
First of all,
it's interesting because I will say that even when it opened, like again, I only watched the first episode, but even with the opening, I was like, oh wow, like this doesn't feel like it's trying to talk down to people at all. Like it's like it really felt like it was like, oh okay, like this is gonna make some people like there's like with the way they wrote the opening, I'm like they're gonna lose like 10% of the audience just right here. Yeah. Just because it's just like there's some people that be like, what are they talking about? You know? And I'm just like, and I'm not mad at it because I'm just like, no, but this is what Sandman is though. Yeah. Like, and it's like, okay, so this feels good because it's like they started off with like this whole like esoteric kind of like opening monologue that people and not necessarily even like showing you a whole bunch of stuff. So it's like, you know, because some people, it's like music, right? Some people will ignore the words and just listen to the beat. Yeah. And that's what happens with some movies too, where people might be saying something like highbrow. Yeah. Right, highbrow, but they're showing you images of something lowbrow.
Morty is the perfect example.
Right, right. So that they don't lose you. You know what I'm saying? Where they're like, okay, you don't even have to listen to this if you don't want to. You can just, nod your head to the beat.
Yeah.
You can just watch this violence, and if you don't want to listen to these complicated words or whatever, complicated words, you can ignore those and just watch this. And Sandman didn't do that. It was like, no, we're gonna talk to you about this and about like something very abstract and how it relates to the world that you may know or believe and you're gonna just have to listen, or you can watch something else. And I'm just like, oh, okay, that's cool, Look, I'm in.
What are you gonna say, Oz?
I've never seen his hair like that. Why does he not do the show with like a full-on mohawk, like get that front thing going?
I don't know, but that's how he has it. He just slicks it back.
He looked kind of badass.
He does. Like I always, because we kind of have the same thing going on. I don't know if you can see it, but mine's a little shorter than his. But there was a time when it was longer, and I would gel it up, and I would cut his hair, and I'm like, Larry, we look like a tag team. Like we're gonna be tag team champions because we have similar body types and similar hair. It's like, man, this is
and it's not just bring it up. Like he's got like this part has to like swoop forward like aggressively. And do that whole.
But look, you gotta tell him that.
Well, he's watching, so he heard it.
Heck says those mohawks. Yeah,
I'm gonna be disappointed if he's not on next week like that.
Los Mohawks de Khalifa. That's more if we were a banda.
And he probably saved money on product, right? Because it's got to take a lot of product to like get it down the way he has it. Like,
he doesn't use the stuff he uses is fairly priced, and it's thick, and you get a good amount for a good price, so it's not too bad. But that's just how he likes it, That's how he likes it. But yeah, to Larry's point, like that's when you think of it that way, like this show could go either way for a lot of people, and that's kind of what the comic was too. I know a lot of people that couldn't get into it. My sister-in-law Liz, she read the first trade paperback, I think the first two, and she was just confused. Yeah, and then in the episode, she's like, "I'm still confused." Yeah, which is like that's the thing where I'm like, man, they could have made it like the comic, but yeah, they had those weird changes. They did the Corinthian, that villain. They made him the villain of the first season, and it's like you didn't have to do that. Like, I mean, you have to if you're gonna like. You want to do the stuff that he does. The comic, all it does is give you non sequitur stories of him killing people until it builds up to that 1 or 2 issues where they actually fight him, But he's not like he's just trying to live amongst humans because he's defied his purpose and his function. So he's actually doing his function in the waking world by being a serial killer. His function is to scare people into changing certain aspects of themselves in dreams, and he's a nightmare. So that's his function. And in the waking world, he's like, well, I gotta scare them. I'll kill everybody. Yeah, he becomes a serial killer. And I think he was like Jack the Ripper, so he like influenced people. He basically created serial killers in that universe. Yeah. Oz, man, you excited to watch the rest of it?
That Constantine stuff, like I'm not looking forward to that.
She's not in it. She's not in it enough for it to like even like. That's one of the things they could have changed it, like not make it Constantine in the modern age, but use her in the dark age. Yeah,
but. I mean, the first episode, like Lauren said in that video, it does feel like it's building up to something. It is really well done. I don't remember enough about the comic to like go into how it's different.
Uh-huh.
But I do remember certain images, like the him going back into the dream world. I remember that image.
Yeah.
I definitely remember, and I was like, dude, like it just like as soon as he started doing it, like wow, like I went back to the comic. So I thought it might be pretty close. I think, and you've confirmed that it actually is kind of close until you get to a couple, because it's how many episodes is this?
It's 10.
It's 10.
10.
And the comic was what you said 75 issues.
Something like that. I like saying 75 because it felt like a long time, but it's probably less than that. Probably like 40 something.
Either way, something has to be condensed. Like that's just natural. That's just gonna happen.
Yeah.
But I will watch the whole thing as I have time. It definitely, especially that first episode, like I understand people saying it's slow and boring, but I would like it. I would say it's, geez, I don't want to say intelligent because
it takes its time.
Hobby.
It takes its time.
Yeah, it's psychological, I guess. Yeah. Like the first episode is just a complete mindfuck on that son.
Yeah,
and seeing how his relationship with his father like affects him all the way through his entire life. Yeah. I don't know. It's good. I'm enjoying it. I can see why people think it's kind of slow, but sometimes you need to just take time and let stuff breathe. You know?
Like a fine wine.
Yeah, just chill out and enjoy it. Not everything has to be stab, chasing huge CGI.
Yeah. How'd you like the special effects in this?
Honestly, there were moments that were not great, but they built like a whole world at one point.
Yeah.
For a Netflix show, they're fine. I have no problem. If they did that in a movie, I'd be a little bit more critical. But it's on Netflix. Like if you've already got the subscription, then technically it's free. Like you're not paying anything extra. If you signed up for it specifically for the show, well, there's plenty of stuff you're gonna enjoy. Like it's not, you're not paying a lot, is my point, and the effects don't have to be mind-blowingly amazing. Having said that, they're still pretty good. They're above average when you're creating a whole nother world. It's not just an animal or person or us.
Yeah.
There's one point where there's two characters that are real, and everything else, the whole world around them is CGI.
Yeah,
and that's a lot.
Yeah,
and to do that for a TV show, and I don't know how often they do that in the 10 episodes, but as far as the first episode, like that's a lot to do. So I understand why most of the rest of the episode, I don't even know if there's CGI. I didn't see it, but like the time of him in the cage, like that felt like that was mostly all like just a set where the dude just sat there naked. And if there's CGI there, then good job, because I didn't really see it.
Jay, you say you like the special effects that you saw in episode 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there was one in particular after the Corinthian gets blasted by Constantine's amulet of protection that I thought was really good. Like when he's like reforming, like starts with like the bone and muscle.
Yeah.
And like the skin comes on top of it. Like I just thought that looked really good.
There's a scene where one of the characters that you get to see later, Rose, she goes into a nightmare, and it's a dude that's a cross dresser. So he takes off his like female clothes, and it's like the dude, and then he takes off that, and it's just his like stringy muscle, like Hellraiser-y, skinless face, just talking to her, and it looked. I don't know if it's CGI like or practical. That's how good it looked. I think it was CGI just because it wasn't like red, like the coloring was a little off, but I don't care about that. Like the lack of red coloring made it creepier, because you could see it moving and talking clearer. So there's some good shit in it. There's definitely I know there was also a lot of like the people were mad at the casting ahead of time. Like they hated that Death was black.
Death is black.
Yeah.
Is she still fly as fuck?
Yeah. She. The thing is, I'm spoiled by the audio drama, the Sandman on Audible on Amazon.
I own that, but I haven't listened to it yet.
So Death is voiced by Kat Dennings, and
ooh, nice.
When you read the comics, like that's what she sounds like. But this new Death actually says the lines verbatim. Like that episode with Death is like verbatim, shot for shot, like the comic. Like I literally, like I narrated. I'm sure it was annoying to Emily. She rolled her eyes lovingly at me during it, I'm sure, because I just narrate everything that would happen, and it happened. And in other episodes, I'm like, that's not supposed to happen like that. But with that one, it would just happen. And that's a one issue with Death. So in the series, it's half of the issue, and then the other one is the other standalone issue with Hob Gadling. So they put those two issues into one episode, and they were both almost like identical to those issues in the comics. So those two are my favorite. I think the one with Death is either the third or the fourth one, and that was my favorite episode. That was literally like watching yeah, that's her.
Yeah, she's really cute.
But the thing is, she's dressed exactly the same. She just doesn't have pale skin.
She doesn't have the little thing on her.
No.
Well, that's the whatchamacallit.
Drop.
Huh?
That's her out of costume. I have one.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have it in the show either, right?
No. But in that issue of the comic, she doesn't have it. When she joins, it's later in the comics where she actually puts on that mascara.
Yeah, see, now I have a problem with the casting because I wish Kat Dennings was Death. But they'd have to like CGI reduce her chest. Probably.
Yeah, I don't think they would have bothered with it. But I honestly, the voice, if they would have put Kat Dennings' voice on her, it would have been ideal. But the voice is fine. The attitude that the lines, how she delivered Death's lines were perfect. Her attitude wasn't as bubbly as Death comes off as. Like she's more happy to see people, but she was like, she had a comforting effect to her, which actually visually is great because the way she talks to Dream and talks to the people that she's taking away from the living, she has a comforting quality to her voice and attitude with everything. Like it's more, when she takes people away, it's more like a compassion thing. And that's one of the episodes where I did cry too, because it's like death is a weird thing that we have to deal with in life, and if something like, if our loved ones or the people we care about that we lose get to feel that as their last thing, it's kind of comforting. And reading the comic, you get that as a concept. Seeing that episode, you can kind of feel it, and it was very heartwarming and very impactful. it gave me an emotional reaction. I'm having a little emotional reaction right now because I have my picture of my dog Harley with it always nearby. Hex
Hex
says
says, "Is that death? Don't look goth enough."
yeah. It a
I
lot of the
mean,
goth. Go ahead, Jay.
yeah, like I don't know. She might not have the hair for goth.
No, but there's a whole movement. It was big. I want to say maybe about 4 years ago on Instagram of black goth people. There's a lot, and they the hair wasn't like when you say like I don't think she has the hair for goth. Like the hair they wore more natural than what she does. So they kind of modified it, and it looks cool, but to overcompensate not having the hair for goth, they exaggerated the clothes a lot. So in seeing those type of people and models in the past, for me, seeing her as goth is kind of adequate. Yeah.
Dude, I just
So
looked
this
up.
is a random black goth girl.
Uh
I typed black goth into Google. Kind of hot.
huh. Yeah. No, there's a lot. There's a lot. There's a big move. There was. I don't know how big it is now, but about 4 or 5 years ago, there was a. Hex says, look at the hair was wild. Hey, look, you ever had to deal with curly hair, man? Curly hair is wild as fuck. It's more uncontrollable than like. Whereas Death would have to use a lot of Aquanet and stuff to make her hair unruly. I think a black girl would just not sleep with a silk wrap and have her hair unruly.
Dude, I think I found the chick that should have played Death.
Let's see.
Is it Kat Dennings?
In blackface.
No, she's blacker than Kat Dennings.
Okay, yeah, she could have been Death. She looks like she would sound like Kat Dennings too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the performance for Death was really good, as I stated before. A lot of there was a lot just much ado about nothing.
Oh, geez,
just
somebody
had
got a boner.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot to like. They even with Desire, like they're mad that it was a non-binary person, and it's like Desire was non-binary in the comic. Like if you didn't get a non-binary person, like you wouldn't be making like the comic, yeah. But it's just Desire appears to you to what you like, yeah.
Hex says, I think everyone is technically blacker than Kat Dennings.
That's the title of this episode. But yeah, I think it's time to rate Sandman. Like Jay, what would you rate your random viewing of episode 2?
I really enjoyed it. I would give it a 4. Like I said, I enjoyed the story, the pacing, the characters. Like, wasn't a huge fan of Cain and Abel, even though Abel's pretty funny. Like when he thanked him for making his grave shallow. Like that was pretty funny.
And Goldie,
but you know how I am with religious iconography and stuff.
Yeah.
But other than like, I thought it was really good. Like, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I would subscribe to Netflix just for this show, but if I had Netflix, I would definitely watch it.
Okay. Oz, what would you rate this?
The actress, the playing Desire. Should have been Delirium.
Why?
It just looks more like the comic Delirium. But with short hair. I haven't seen I haven't looked up that the person playing Delirium in the show. I don't know. Maybe they look more like Delirium, but
The Delirium doesn't even
that
come
crazy
out.
Lady Gaga look.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm looking at.
Delirium doesn't even come out in the show.
Oh well, then this person. Well, I guess then they wouldn't hire this person.
Yeah.
I
don't know if you remember in the comics when they had the whole council with the whole family talking about Destruction not being where he needs to be. Like it was a whole conversation, like a family dinner type thing with Destiny and Delirium, and they didn't do that in the show at all.
I remember Delirium driving a car and just being really nuts.
Yeah. That's later. That's like issue 30 something. Yeah.
We're rating it. So I'm having only seen the first episode. I'm gonna give it a 5. I think if I got further in, I know that Constantine stuff is gonna bug me.
Yeah,
I'll probably knock it down to like a somewhere between 4 and 4.5. But because I haven't gotten there, and I could be completely wrong, for the first episode, I'm gonna say it's 5. Definitely worth watching. I don't know if I would get Netflix just for this, but let's face it, you got Netflix for Stranger Things anyway, so might as well watch it while you got the month.
As for Larry, you saw his rating earlier, and that is part of a longer conversation that I edited down to play during this. So if you hit like, subscribe, hit the bell, you're gonna get the full conversation later on this week. And he did a Paper Girls one, but for some reason my camera didn't record it. So luckily I was like, this is getting good. Let me check the camera, and I realized it wasn't recording. Then we got to that. But yeah, as for me, I give it a 5 as well. Like I hate the changes, but it's still a solid show, and the changes were made for logistical purposes. I would have much rather liked to see it how it was, but it would have been a 18 episode series where I would have probably complained, I could have done it in 13, So, as far as changing story is the part that I don't like, but we got what we got, and the Lucifer stuff's good. I mean, they showed at the very end, they showed Azazel, and Azazel has a very distinct look in the comic, and seeing it in live, I was like, oh man, I was curious. That's one of the things I was curious how they would show in it, and live action, how would that work? And they made it simple. They just made it look exactly like the comics. Yeah, so it worked. And then aside from all that, man, like I didn't like the Corinthian being the villain of the season, but it worked. It still made the show a 5 out of 5 for me. Yeah, and that's it. Let me play this comic review music, and we'll get into the Superman Space Age.
Fuck you, Larry!
Oh, sorry, wrong button.
Comic book
Review.
comic book
Like review.
well, not like that, but like
when I talked to Larry and recorded him, we did go on a big tangent on Paper Girls because he missed that review last week too, and that's the one that didn't get recorded. But that's one of the things that I liked about Paper Girls, but I wish they would have done better. There was a character, Larry, and they were yelling at him all the time not one person had a really good "fuck you, Larry" or "Larry, you fuckhead" or anything like that. That weekend, that's the one criticism I would do for for Paper Girls. It's like not enough people shit on Larry. I was like, I'm over here with the tape recorder trying to get audio of people talking shit to Larry, and no, Larry's doing Larry, and they're like, oh, Larry. Like, I don't need that. I need tell him to go fuck himself. But yeah, Superman Space Age. It is a book by I believe it's Mark Russell, written by Mark Russell and drawn by Mike Allred, colored by Linda Allred. I don't know who the letterer is, and this book had me, um, like I wanted to read it as soon as I just saw the cover because it's Mike Allred doing a Superman book, you know. And when you talk about how, like, with Oz, how you brought up with Sandman's hand, like, oh, is that a Kirby hand technically? And that's kind of what Allred does too. Like he brings in little Kirbyisms, little, you know, the old style of comics in the modern age with his art style. I know it's not for everyone, but I love that. And Superman Space Age is a book that takes place in early in Superman's career. This book itself is more about him deciding to save the world, and people telling him like, yeah, you know, you kind of you got to figure out what saving the world means, you know. And it's in the '60s, so right after Kennedy's assassination, the world's going into the Cold War. There's a lot of missile crises and false alarms of nuclear war, and he's still like just being a reporter trying to figure out humanity, and eventually donning the costume and saving the world. But this book really, the concept of it is really, what does it mean to save the world, you know. And it's more like, I think I forgot who said it in the book, where they say it's not about saving the world, it's about making it survive itself, you know. And this book's full with these little lines of concepts of what it means to be a hero, and things like that, and inadvertently gives you an origin for the Justice League as well. You guys both read this, right?
I read the beginning.
Okay.
It's only in the first issue, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what was you guys, J Man, give me your little impressions on this book. How far did you get into it?
Basically to where Clark was whining about he wants to be big and save the world.
Okay.
And Jonathan was like, you know, I murdered a baby once.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of sitting on the porch talking about it.
Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah, I like baby murder, but I don't know. It's like, I guess I don't care that much about Jonathan Kent.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, it's awesome he killed a baby, but I kind of don't care too, because it's him. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I think I would have had to read more in order for that to be a little more impactful.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the guy that raised Superman. Yeah. So it's kind of like you see the effect that had on him if you read it. I guess in the moment you see that he's like, you know, I thought I was saving the world and I ended up murdering a kid, you know. Excuse me 1 second, I got bit by a mosquito on my ankle. But yeah, it does go a little further. And Jay, if I may ask, why did you only read up to that point? Did you just done with it, or timing, or
mostly timing?
Uh-huh.
I'll be honest, I've had like the shittiest past couple weeks, and so I haven't been able to dedicate the time and resources I would normally would to prepare for the show.
Okay.
That's why I only had the issue episode 2 of Sandman. Like I would have watched more, but man, this month has been kicking my ass.
Yeah. No, I mean it's understandable, man, and it's fair. I know I read up to that exact point that you did, and I stopped myself. That's why I was curious. I actually
Well, part of it too is normally I would just buy the book. Like normally I buy the books we review, and I don't use review copies. And I've gotten spoiled to the point where the review copies are just not annoying. Well, yeah, they're kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Like the copies are always like kind of sketchy and whatnot. Slow loading, sketchy. And it was like I'm reading it, and I wasn't at work when I was reading this. In case anyone's from work is watching, it was totally not at work when I was reading this, and I'm just like going through it, and it's like, man, this is dope. Dead Baby's awesome. The page keeps moving because that's how the fucking thing loads up. And I just can't anymore. Like, yeah. Well, normally I would have just popped down to $10 and just went through it, but I couldn't do that this month.
And that's the weird thing with this book, because it's something like what, 70 pages or something. Like it's a long book, and I got there and I'm like reading it, and now I'm enjoying what I'm reading, but I'm getting sleepy. And at that point, I just put my tablet down and took a nap for about a half hour, and then woke up and finished it. But it does get. It is an interesting book when you think about like what the U.S. was like during that time of the 60s and civil rights and stuff, and how superheroes would deal with that, and Superman being a journalist and is in his alter ego life and all that. How would that come into play? And it kind of shows you that. Oz, man, give me a little bit of your impression of the book.
I hated it. Even though it sounds like I got further along the book than you guys. Like I got to the point where it actually shows up at the Daily Planet. I think, I don't know, Lois Lane was at the Daily Planet. That story with Jonathan Kent, I feel like I've heard it before. The whole cigarette story. Like as I was reading it, it sounded familiar, and at that point, I thought I was actually reading like a reprint of a 60s or 70s comic, which would have made it better because the art was really bugging me. It felt like that 60s, 70s styles. Maybe that's what they're going for, but if it's a modern comic, I was like,
that's Mike Allred's style. Like he draws in the 60s style.
Yeah, I just wasn't. I just wasn't getting into it, and like, I don't know. I'm sitting there like, I don't care about Jonathan Kent. Why is he telling me a story? It's just like it's Superman Space Age. I thought like it starts off interesting where something's happening where the Fortress of Solitude is like falling apart, and instead of taking his family out of danger, Superman and his family are just kind of like sitting in the living room in the middle of the fortress as it falls apart around them. So it starts off interesting.
The kid's like, Dad, is it gonna be okay? And he's like, you know what? It's not, and that's okay.
So I don't like that was just weird because it's the fortress falling apart for some reason. It felt like he initiated it too.
Well,
but like he could just like leave, right? Unless it's the planet, but they don't tell you anything. It goes back into
this is where you fucked up and not read. If you would have read 2 or 3 more pages, while he's being a journalist, he's interviewing these certain people, and he comes along Pariah, and Pariah tells him, "Hey, your world has like 20 years time limit on it. Like you guys are gonna die. I watched it happen all over, and it's gonna happen to you. You know."
Well, they shouldn't have bored me up to that point. Then
Well, the thing is, it's like a 75-page book, so you're literally just. If it would have been a 22-page book, you're like, oh, they breezed by that too fast. You know what I mean? Like, because they're trying to give you specifically in this out of continuity story, they're giving you Superman's background, like how he was raised, and they can't show you his entire life, so they give you a moment in time where Jonathan Kent made an impression on him on how he's going to decide to save
I mean, they
people.
can't
You
show
know?
me his entire life, but it felt like they did.
Right.
That's part of the problem. Like, yeah, man. I think I'm done with Superman origin stories. Like, the same thing with like Batman. I get it. Gunshot, pearls falling on the floor, located crying. Like, I don't know. I just couldn't stick with it. And then they start like it. It's an origin book, and it just like I was done. I didn't make it to the page where stuff happens apparently.
Yeah, yeah, and, this is why I go back to my old adage of, let's see, where is this?
Fuck you, Larry.
Because Larry's not here, and if Larry would have read this book, we could have had a real discussion with somebody that actually finished it. Um, and because this is like the Marvel's what is it? Life story books, and those are great. And I feel like this one is better than anything Marvel's done with those life story books. And it's because of that, because they give you even though it's a 75-page thing that you guys felt either dragged too long at the beginning or whatever, it literally gave you a fast forwarded take on the Justice League and how they're fighting things that, yeah, it's a Superman or Justice League origin story, but you don't see it like this. This is like dealing with your civil rights movement, your Kennedy's assassination, it's your fucking Cold War and missile crisis, and that is what makes it interesting. Because it's not, you don't get that. You don't get that when you read fucking 60s. If you do, you get like a weird Russian looking superhero dude that's like analogous to a madman with the finger on the button. But here it's like they're trying to deal with this shit, and but you guys didn't even get there. So uh I'll take it like you guys just give it a 2, and I give it a 4,
Too
and
generous.
yeah,
I'll,
like,
I'll
but
give it a 3
I read
for
like
the babies.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
Like,
like as excited about the dead babies. So yeah, like I want to give it a 1. Like what you're talking about makes me want to up it to 2 because I didn't get there.
Right,
I,
like
but ultimately, no. Like if I just read it, and I couldn't. I guess I got about halfway through. If it's 75
no,
pages, I got
no,
halfway through.
you got like 5 pages.
No. I got way
You got
past
like 5 pages.
I got past the dead baby.
Right.
I got to Superman's an adult, and Lois Lane is reporting on the assassination, even though she was reporting like she was the fluff reporter, I guess. I think I got like 30 pages in. I'm gonna say I got halfway through.
Where is this? Let's see. Yeah. Okay,
I'll
this
tell
is
you the
the
exact page. It's a page of like Lois Lane in the Daily Planet. And I didn't even read the page. I just saw the page and I'm like, all right, I'm done. Like now he's gonna meet Lois Lane. They're gonna fall in love. I'm done. I get it. But yeah, I just
It got like 20 pages, but it's still
Okay,
a third.
so I got-
It's still a fourth of the book.
I got a regular issue in, like a standard
Well,
comic
the thing is,
issue
but
in.
this book isn't written like this book is written more like Watchmen than it is a regular book, and that's part of the point of like you're not getting that type of story anymore in modern
I know you
comics.
think you're complimenting it by saying that, but you're not.
No, I'm explaining to you why, like, literally, like, you read a fourth of the book. Like, it's proportionate to what you would normally, like, you feel you read a full book, but you didn't get a full arc of anything. You got a fourth of the arc. So you only read a fourth. If it was a 22-page book, you read in 8 pages. You know, you didn't read a full arc. You didn't read a full mini arc of a cycle of a storytelling in the regular comic book.
I pushed myself to even get to that point.
Again, yeah, that's look, you could do whatever. Like, oh, I got sleepy, I got this. Yeah, I did it too, but I finished the book because this is what we're here to do. You know.
So you finished it? I thought you got to the dead baby part.
No, I took a nap. I woke up and picked it up and finished it. I finished it like at 6:12 because I'm like, we need to talk about this. I need to finish it. You know, like we read bad shit all the time. We watch bad shit all the time, and we finish it because we talk about bad shit too, not just good shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you're pushing it. Yeah, guess what? You're gonna have to suffer to read a fucking comic. You know? You're gonna suffer to review a fucking comic. Because when's the last time you suggested a fucking comic to read?
You guys hate all my suggestions.
So what? You hate my suggestion today, but we're having a conversation about it. We can hate your fucking suggestions, and we're gonna give it a 2 out of 5 at the end. But guess what? I'm gonna fucking read it. All right. I'm not gonna do this bullshit about reading a fourth and try to make a judgment on it on a fourth. And guess what? When I do that, I make it a funny bit about only reading a fucking fourth of it, right? So now I'm over here trying to have to yell at you on the fucking air about you not reading a fucking comic just to make this conversation a little bit more exciting to the fucking 2 audience members we got right now.
And that's
right?
funny.
I give it a 5 out of 5. 2. Is that accurate? 2.
2. I'll go with 2.
J 2. I'll give
I'm
you.
gonna go 3.
All right.
3, maybe.
3 because of the dead baby.
Yeah.
And then with that, we're gonna do a tight 145 because there's no need for me to stretch it out for another 18 fucking minutes. Give me some fucking final thoughts, Oz. I'll lower it for you.
So apparently, this empty can is selling for like $10 on eBay. So I may actually make money off this.
If you put more effort into reading comics and drinking shit beer, it would have been a better show.
It's Iron Maiden. Oh, nice. Build it up.
Yeah, but listen to the fucking Maiden album. That's the better. Like, the Maiden beer ain't shit. Jay, give me some final thoughts.
Seriously, fuck this month. Yeah, fuck this month. This month just fucking sucks.
It's almost over, man. It's almost over. But, you know, I love you, Jay. And I
love you too, man.
Yeah, you try to put in effort. So, though, me yelling at Oz, I yelled at Oz. Yelled at you a little bit through Oz. But, you know, I understand. You know, we talked before the show. I know you're going through shit. Yeah. As for the rest of us, hit like and subscribe. I mean, look, why would you subscribe for a half-ass review of a fucking comic that was promoted ahead of time? But if it's kind of your thing, then we'll be here next fucking week. Go ahead, Jay. Get us out of here.
All right.